The show you knew as The Mandalorian is no more. Like a supernova, the once bright burning but intimate story of following Djarin on his adventures through the galaxy has completely collapsed on itself. From within these fragments, they're going to connect the original Star Wars trilogy with the sequel trilogy. Mando's story is now officially sidelined for bigger storylines featuring warring gangs and pirates, and the New Republic versus the First Order, and a girl boss who will unite rival factions. Oh hey, Carl Weathers is back though.
You son of a bitch.
And he's doing a bit of city planning. Ever wanted to sit in a bureaucratic meeting filled with civil engineers? Well, now's your chance, audience member wanting a sci-fi action adventure. Do you feel the excitement running through your veins? Are you sitting on the edge of your seats? Where is Karga going to place the trade district?
Let's move the trade district closer to the shipping terminals.
He did it! The madman actually did it! The trade district is going next to the shipping terminals! Ladies and gentlemen, never in my life did I think a trading district would go near shipping terminals. What a great call. This exciting scene and dialogue written by AI is interrupted when Karga is hailed by pirates. The pirate, Gorian Shard, wants to take over Navarro after Karga killed his helmsman all the way back in episode 1. Remember that? Me either, I don't care. Karga sends a message of distress to a forgettable character. Captain Forgettable here goes to Coruscant asking for the New Republic to intercede on Navarro's behalf. He talks to Colonel Tuttle, played by Tim Meadows, whose hands are tied behind his back due to the bureaucratic red tape. And just when you think this scene is going to fade out because even your TV is tired of listening to it, entering in is buff catfish girl G68 or whatever her name is from episode 3 to liven things up. How does she spruce up this gem of a scene with circular dialogue? By retelling the room and the audience everything we already know from the last 10 minutes. Alright, I'll fill you in a little writing trick. Sometimes in the middle of a movie or a show, you can have a scene that recaps all the events leading up to this point while filling in some of the blanks. It gives the people who walked in late a chance to catch up while also giving everyone else a small bit of a breather. This type of scene, when cleverly deployed, can be disguised as a scene worth a damn. But you don't do this only 10 minutes deep into your show. Why aren't we moving forward? Why are we recapping? What the hell is there to recap?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
So to recap this episode so far, we had a recap of previous episodes. We are brought up to speed with key thematic moments, giving us what we can expect to see in this one. We open up with a high-octane scene of city planning, followed by pirates pirating, yar. Karga sends a distress message out to Captain Forgettable, a message recapping what we just saw. Captain Forgettable takes the recap of a message to Tuttle, which we get to watch the message again, but with Tuttle watching as well, and we are, again, recapped once more. Tuttle tells Captain Forgettable he can't do anything about it, which makes the scene null and void because there are no stakes in it for Captain Forgettable. Buff 68 is there for no reason other than for you to know that she's nefarious and something no good is going on behind the scenes, before Captain Forgettable walks out and says something nefarious and no good is going on behind the scenes. And why does Captain Forgettable know something big is brewing out there and it would be too late for the New Republic to act? You got a distress signal from an acquaintance who's under attack by pirates, dude, not key battle plans or anything. Something dangerous is happening out there, and all these events are not coincidence. Oh gee, I wonder what the writers could be hinting at.
All remaining systems will bow to the First Order!
This is a clear case of the writers getting ahead of themselves, but not explaining how they got there. They forgot to take the people who counts, the audience, along for the ride. They opted instead to skip plot elements that directly link the Mandalorian to the sequel trilogy. Damn it. The forgettable captain lands at the Mandalorian covert shores. He tells Mando that Karga is in danger and suspects the Empire is growing again. How does he know this, and why does Mando need to know? And why do we need to know again one scene later? I don't have an answer either. Mando pleads with the rest of the Mandalorians for their help in a Lord of the Flies scenario. Unfortunately, unlike the Lord of the Flies, they don't kill the weakest one of the group at the end of this scene, so that means Baby Yoda lives on for another day. Mando promises them a plot of his land on Navarro if they help out Karga. They go for it because, hey, it beats living on a beach where dragons steal your kids and lazy alligators attack like once every 2 or 3 days. I can't wait for the future scene where they take half an episode discussing real estate development on Navarro.
Huge
tracts of land?
The Mandalorian and company surprise attack the pirates, who are now in control of Navarro, while Karga roams the desert with his people like Moses or something. And speaking of surprises, I finally get to speak positively on the behalf of the Mandalorian. It's only taken 2.5 episodes to get to something praiseworthy. The assault on the pirates was a fun watch, and finally we have 10 straight minutes of action with no other character describing what we were watching. I think this is the first time this season we have zero commentary on the action as it's happening. It was just Mandalorian living in the moment. It was great, it was fun, it was highly enjoyable to watch. Of course, the armorer beats the shit out of a whole room with no one noticing, and to be honest, I had a whole paragraph written up about how dumb this sequence is. But you know what? I will have mercy, and I will let the Mandalorian have this one. It's cool, it's fine, they can have their moment in the sun because it gets right back to being season 3 right after this anyways. After they liberate Navarro from the pirates, the armorer wishes to speak to Bo Katan in private in the sewers. She insists that Bo Katan take off her helmet in front of her before insisting Bo Katan will be the one who unites both factions of the Mandalorian because she lived both ways of each faction. So Bo Katan is a Mandalorian blade-like girl boss hybrid who straddles both worlds.
You tell him it's open season on all suckheads.
Doesn't she need something like, oh, I don't know, the Darksaber to be the one everyone rallies around? And why does she get to take off her helmet now? What happened to all this stuff about a creed? Why is she so damn special? What happened to the rules?
Has the whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Another little writing tip. If you're going to take time to set up all these rules inside the universe of your own show, maybe, just maybe, have enough conviction to follow through with them or show the consequences of breaking them. But, like, whatever. So the armorer and Bo Katan rejoin the rest of the Mandalorians on the surface, where the armorer announces to everyone Bo Katan is the one who will unite all the Mandalorians. Yes, if this sounds familiar, we get the same exact scene twice, right next to each other. I feel like I should recap this episode. I think I will. Episode 5 starts where...
Stop that. You're not going into a song while I'm here.
But the show doesn't end there. In an epilogue, Captain Forgettable in the middle of space finds a derelict Imperial shuttle. He sends a drone from his droid in there to probe inside the ship. Wait, droids have little drones stuffed in their domes now? That little piece would have been helpful in like almost every situation R2-D2 found himself in, or maybe, I don't know, 3 episodes ago when we went spelunking for bass in the middle of a mine. For God's sake, I hope there's one tree for every writer in this writer's room to replace the oxygen they're wasting. The plot-convenient probe scans the inside of the Imperial shuttle like it's the salvage team from Aliens. Turns out this was Moff Gideon's prison transport, but his body's missing. A few scans later, and somehow Captain Forgettable spots, in the middle of a ship made of metal, Beskar alloy the size of a quarter embedded into the ship's walls. Holy eagle eye! Captain Forgettable, how did you do that? Do you have zoom lenses installed for your eyeballs? Do you have predator vision, but instead of heat signatures, it registers Beskar alloy? You saw this from a tiny 4x4-inch view screen inside a ship 300 yards away? Captain Forgettable must have a high metachlorian count, but it's just in his retinas. And that's how episode 5 ends. Once again, Djarin seems to be getting pushed further and further back into his own show. He doesn't even seem like a secondary character anymore, but rather a bit player. Based off the top of my head, Captain Forgettable almost gets as much screen time as the Mandalorian does himself. His character development has stalled into a flat spin while the show refocuses its attention on building Bo Katan up. She is, for all intents and purposes, the new driving force of the show now. What she does is going to affect the outcome and actions of what Din and the gang are going to do, not Mando himself. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of The Mandalorian. It ends with a whimper instead of a bang, ushering in larger plot elements that will further remove the show that once made it special. The introductions of the First Order plot thread and rebuilding the Mandalorian civilization will both take precedence over whatever the hell Mando decides to do on his off time. And that's a shame too, because I thoroughly enjoyed the Western elements of the show, where essentially you had a wandering cowboy trying to make his way through the frontiers of space and getting into all sorts of hijinks. It was a throwback to the cowboy shows of the 50s and 60s mixed with Japanese influences like Lone Wolf and Cub. Now it just feels like another day in another Disney Star Wars mess, a shell of its former self. Directionalist and distracted by marketing firms and outside influences that wish to tie every single IP together to maximize profits, even if those IPs are poisonous. I'm out of here.